First off, congrats on almost 3 years.
Yeah.
And congrats on everything you do, man, because, somebody told me once early on, they were like, no, I think it was actually Mark Evans, but I remember he was like, no real estate investor or entrepreneur is going to kick another one when they're down if they have bad deals. Like every one of us is a good or bad deal away from being rich or broke. You know what I mean? And when you're around people that are going to criticize you, you're around the wrong people, but we try and do things for those people instead of being around people where, and I remember the guy that asked it, I'll never forget it. He was like, what happens if I do all this stuff and these deals go south and now I lose everything? Like, what are people going to say and think? And Mark was like, who
Yeah.
cares? He was like, if that happens, you have my cell phone number. I will move you into my guest house. I will get you back on your feet. We will get you into another deal. Like the people that love and support you, it's like fighters. Dude, fighters are never going to criticize me for trying to get into a fight and lose because they know how hard it is just to get in there and do that. And so part of what I think is amazing about your story, and the reason I asked about like what that was like and that feeling, is because I wanted people to see how down it could get for very successful people. But you have raised over $65 million in private funds, and you've rebuilt yourself out from these losses that most people would have quit. And I feel like the question I ask people a lot is, how did you keep yourself going? How did you give yourself that positive self-talk when you were down? But I heard you in a few other interviews because I do my due diligence before, and you said something that just clicked. I was talking to somebody about it this morning, and you were like, you have to establish trust with your lenders if they're going to lend you money. But the only way you get enough trust with the lenders is to first establish that trust with yourself. You have to do these things every day, no matter how big or small, that you tell yourself, I'm going to do them, and you prove to yourself that you are. And then you can start to get that confidence back of, I said I was going to do 20 push-ups every day for a week. I did. I said I was
Love
going to cut
that,
out
bro.
sugar. I did. And I feel like getting that confidence up by proving it to yourself first is what slowly builds the momentum to get back up there and then have other people take a shot on you again. So you mentioned your daily habits, and that was kind of what lit you up in the beginning before we started recording, is you were like, the habits. And I feel like those small daily habits of trust that you gave to yourself are why you're now going to wind up back on top again one day. So talk about building back up trust after you've lost trust in yourself, and talk about your daily habits to keep yourself accountable.
What a great question, too. And you saying these words, I'm sitting here agreeing with you. I'm like, I said that? I'm like, you're fucking right. I said that shit because that is the absolute truth. Here's the thing. What is the number one characteristic of people who are at the lowest of the low, the soft white underbelly, which we already talked about, the gutters, the heroin addicts, the fentanyl addicts, the whole deal. What is the common characteristic? Is lack of self-love, lack of self-worth, right? Self-worth is self-love, right? Well, before we could just jump into, we're going to love ourselves, everything is Pollyanna, everything is perfect, we got to actually like ourselves first. We got to start actually kind of there. And before you actually like yourself, you got to be somebody who you actually kind of like, meaning you got to be somebody that you trust, right? You got to like bring it back to square one here. So the way you're going to do this, the way I've done it, and the way I encourage you guys to do this is start with fulfilling commitments to yourself. All of them, bro. All of them. So this is being in alignment. This is walking the path, bro. So start by keeping your commitments to yourself. If you cannot keep your commitments to yourself, and shit, if you're a parent, you got kids, Nick, or no?
No.
No, it doesn't matter if you got kids or not. If you got a podcast, if you got kids, if you're responsible to other people, which all of us are, because we're all fucking connected, it's one universal consciousness. We all need each other at the end of the day. But if you cannot keep your commitments to yourself, you're not going to be able to keep your commitments to anybody else. And subconsciously, people are just not going to take you seriously, right? So you're not going to take yourself seriously. So self-love, shit. Self-worth, that's completely out of the fucking question if you can't keep your own promises to yourself. So wait, where do we keep our promises? Every little thing. We must start setting commitments for ourselves, and it's best to start small, but make it non-negotiable. Make it non-negotiable. And you can start by, you know what? I'm never going to leave trash in my car again. You mentioned the one guy's got a bunch of trash in his car. That's a great place to start. Because I'm just not going to be this person anymore. It's a commitment that I have. It's a non-negotiable. I'm never going to have trash in my car again. I'm always going to throw it away. Or it could be, I'm never going to walk past the kitchen sink and see dirty dishes in there. I'm always putting my shit away. This is a non-negotiable. It could be, I'm going to put my shoes away. I'm not just going to flail them around the fucking bedroom when I get home. I'm always going to put them in the same spot because that's who I am. And you just start with these little habits. I'm telling you, it happens quick. Guys, in 24 hours, your life is going to be different. You start with this little shit and you just start to change your identity. Like, okay, I'm somebody who doesn't have trash in my car. I'm somebody that fucking shaves in the morning, that actually keeps myself somewhat groomed, right? I'm somebody that doesn't wear wrinkly clothes. And you keep these small commitments, and then you're going to be like, you know what? I'm somebody who keeps their commitments. Now you're this identity. I kind of like that person. Well, what does that lead to, Nick? Well, shit, I kind of fucking like myself now. I kind of fucking love myself now. And when your self-worth is going up like that, that's the opposite of living in the gutter. It's the opposite of no self-worth. You are building these internal assets, and no one can take this shit from you. You do these daily habits, and guess what you feel like? You feel proud. You feel proud. And where's pride or self-worth and self-love on that vibrational scale? It's way up there, bro. It's the opposite of shame and regret, right? So now you're vibing high at this high frequency. So naturally, people are liking you more because they're attracted to you. They're like, what has gotten into you? You're a different guy. You're a different dude. So keeping your commitments to yourself is going to build that self-trust. It's going to make you like yourself. When you like yourself, you're going to love yourself. When you start to love yourself, you are vibrating at a higher frequency. You're going to attract new opportunities into your life. It all starts with keeping these commitments to yourself. And then you got to increase it. So you create these non-negotiables and make them small, and then only increase these non-negotiables or only add to these non-negotiables if you've mastered the original non-negotiable. So you never go back. But then you start to build, and it could be, you don't have to wait a week. You don't have to wait. It could be day by day. I'm going to start adding these non-negotiables, but you keep it, you always push yourself, red line just a little bit, make it a little bit harder for yourself, because now what you're doing is that soul work. You're doing that soul's purpose, which is overcoming contrast, which is overcoming self-induced challenges, right? When you're keeping these commitments to yourself, you're overcoming the self-induced challenge. Now you're feeling proud of yourself. You're getting all of your validation and all of your self-worth from the internal assets that you're building. See, when we seek validation externally, look at my car, look at my wife, look at my business, look how many deals I've done. All of that shit could be taken from you. And then as soon as it is, because things change in the physical world, you're fucking crushed, bro. You are done. You're rock bottom now. You're back to square one. But if you start with keeping commitments to yourself and building this self-worth and building these internal assets, nobody can take shit from you. You then are vibrating at the frequency where you're going to attract endless opportunities. You're never going to go broke, be broken, because no one can take it from you, right? So it starts with keeping these commitments to ourselves.